Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News. This bulletin is coming to you live from the Joy 99.7 FM studios. Kokomlemle in Accra at digital address GA0993341. Also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi. Affiliates across the country, including Pad FM in Damongo, Jubilee FM in Keta, and Sunshine FM in Boko. It's on ABN Radio in London and around the world at myjoyonline.com. The news is brought to you by UMB Bank, UMB Speed Up, DigiBank, Let's Go, SuperSem, Build Your Dream, and Telesol 4G, Just a Touch. In this edition, latest episode of Joy News' citizen-driven series, Dear Nanado, captures the worrying state of the homeless, including children sleeping rough on the streets of Accra.
My parents rented a kiosk at Adapaka for us to live in, but the owner asked us to move out. So now we live here on the streets.
We have details as we track the execution of government's promises to Ghanaians and speak live with the Western Housing Minister. National Education Campaign Coalition casts a doubt on GES's readiness to roll out new curriculum next month as NAGRAT insists its implementation is unrealistic.
What are you talking about negotiating with class 1 children in school? What kind of Caucasian concepts are these that people are trying to implement and come and negotiate that today do you want class tests? No, sir, we are not in the mood for class tests. No, but
we have details also. A former Vice-Chancellor of the University of Ghana admits large class sizes and other factors to blame for decline in the quality of university education there, as Senyo Hosi takes on the institution for failing to produce critical thinkers.
He was accusing people that they are not able to think, but I thought he advertised worse ways of thinking than one would have expected.
But must we begin to consider changing the way we teach?
Students are not encouraged to explore, to question the status quo. They're not encouraged to think critically or creatively. The way we teach is wrong for today.
We'll hear from founder of Ashesi University, Patrick Ewa, on this matter. And in sports,
we'll hear from the assistant coach of the Black Meteors as they step up preparations ahead of the Olympic Games qualifier with Algeria next month.
And later, founder of Global Access Savings and Loans questions central bank's decision to shut down company instead of bailing it out, as he warns of dire consequences for Ghana's economy.
When you sack one person, the multiplier effect of that person's salary is then wiped out, because he can no longer go and buy bread from the baker. He cannot go and buy meat from the butcher. All these things start downward spiral. That begins to bring your economy down.
We have the latest plus here from founder of GN Savings and Loans, Dr. Papakwesi Indru. More that and more here on the Midday News with me, Emefa Apau. And it's a story that captures the reality of many families living on the streets of Ghana's capital of Accra. In the latest edition of the Joy News citizen-driven mini-documentary series dubbed Dear Nanado, a mother and her 4 children sleep rough on the streets of Accra. The children have already missed a term. The story also highlights a critical promise in the NPP's 2016 manifesto, which said the NPP government will develop housing units targeted at the vulnerable and the marginalized. Here are excerpts of that story.
My focus is on this family of 5.
God bless our homeland, Ghana. God bless our homeland, Ghana.
They make their way to the Independence Square, where they will spend the rest of their day, then later retire to the Tema station. But life has not always been this harsh for Florence Opoku and her family. Their rent expired, so they had to move out because they had no money.
I got some money from my husband to rent a place, but the landlord refused to accept 1-year rent advance. So that is why I find myself here. I am waiting for my husband to get some money to rent a new place.
They rented out a kiosk for a year, but the owner of the kiosk refused to renew their rent.
My parents rented a kiosk at Adapaka for us to live in, but the owner asked us to move out. So now we live here on the streets.
So they find themselves here. The children have not been to school for a term. They are missing out on the right to education.
One day it rained at midnight and we were stranded. We stood by a building and my father begged a commercial driver to allow us to sleep in his car. We sat in the car throughout the night. My mother says she's working hard to get money to rent a room for us.
Excerpts of that documentary that will air tonight. I'm sure you caught it also on the SMS this morning. But Dear Nanado tracks the promises of government and analyzes what the situation is on the ground. And my colleague Raymond Akwa has been tracking what the Akufo-Addo government has done so far in the area of housing since coming to office more than 2 years ago. Raymond, what was the promise and what has been delivered?
So according to the government's medium-term budgets, the year 2017, government set out to actually put up some 2,500 housing units under the affordable housing project. And as of the end of last year, that's 2018, government says that it was able to do 628. And this 628 is part of what it sought to do. The 1,024 under the 5,000, and I'm sure you can guess the project. It's the Saglemi Housing Project, which it was able to actually continue and complete 628. Indeed, there was another program government says is worked very hard on under the redevelopment program. A total number of 39 townhouses and 24 unit blocks of flats have been provided for public servants, and that's specifically for public servants. And the rest are still ongoing projects. The affordable housing project has been finally handed over to the TDC, and some 24 units are being dealt with. This is supposed to provide some 321 other units when completed, and currently it stands at 50%. That's the status of that particular project. Other projects like the one at Boteman, so work is still ongoing there. We expect that it's a 70% range. Some 1,526 units are expected to be, and of course there are a lot of these expectations vision in the same way that the other Boteman projects. We know that there are some SNIT housing projects that are ongoing across the country. Government says it's raised some money, some millions of dollars to make sure that it completes these projects too. In the line of projects it actually want to finish before its term. By the year 2020, it is government's hope that not only would he finish the 2,500, would have escalated that to getting almost 50,000 houses for Ghanaian people at the affordable rate.
And all these remain plans. Do we know exactly how many vulnerable and marginalized the government has been able to take off the streets?
Okay, so to be fair, after 2016, government itself stopped tracking specifically those who are living in slum and vulnerable areas, specifically. So what it tells you generally is affordable housing projects it has put up today. It doesn't tell you specifically the vulnerable and the marginalized, whether they've been provided any, but I'm sure would have reported on it if there was any.
Okay, so at the last Meet the Press encounter, the minister stated that the housing deficit has hit 2 million units, and amongst others, he says that we need 3.4 billion for us to build 200,000 units each year for the next 10 years. We are hoping to get the minister on the line, Samuel Atachia. We must say that he was scheduled to speak to us here on the Midday News. My producers are still calling both lines and is ringing no reply. As and when we are able to get him, we'll get government's reaction to the latest in the series of Dear Nanado. But we move on because in a few days, pupils from kindergarten to primary 6 public schools nationwide will be introduced to a new curriculum. But there appears to be mixed reactions from some major stakeholders to the new approach to teaching and learning in the classrooms. One of the features of the new curriculum will be increased engagement between teachers and students, where students will be encouraged to banter with their teachers. Here's the Executive Secretary of the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, Dr. Prince Arma, explaining in detail how this new curriculum will work. He spoke on PM Express on the Joy News channel.
In a standard-based curriculum, we have clearly outlined and highlighted what specific competencies the child should know, understand, and be able to do. And that we do not wait until they get to junior secondary school 3, where there has been a huge learning gap, and expect them to write an examination where there is damage. There's complete damage, and it's quite difficult to address.
To rectify.
In this particular one, at primary school, primary 2, primary 4, primary 6, junior high school 2, they will write an examination. We call it National Assessment Test. And so in this particular curriculum, the idea is that you want children who can be critical thinkers, and children who are problem solvers,
who are challenging their teachers.
Who are exactly the traditional classroom. You dare not, express an opinion that is contrary to what the teacher is saying. It will sometimes.
You heard the Executive Secretary of the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment, Dr. Prince Ama, but President of the National Association of Graduate Teachers, Angel Kabonu, says it would be unrealistic to implement this new curriculum. He explains why.
There is no single approach. There is no single style of teaching. It is not as if before now the Ghanaian teacher does not engage the child. It's not true that you go to a class and the teacher is a dictator and that the child does not contribute in class. It is not that true that the teacher is a dictator, the children are in a state of fear, and that the teacher speaks and the child does not speak. What are you talking about here? What type of Ghanaian teacher are you describing? What are you talking about negotiating with class 1 children in school? What kind of Caucasian concepts are these that people are trying to implement and come and negotiate that today do you want class tests? No, say we are not in the mood for class tests. No, but you are also forgetting that the class is about 50 to 60 students to that one teacher. You are forgetting about that. And that we've not even as curriculum people told us that the right classroom size that we should manage.
NAGRAD President Angel Kabonu, now the Executive Chairman of the Ghana National Education Campaign Coalition, Kofi Asare, agrees. Listen.
We are going to deepen the exclusion that has existed for the past 30 years. And so until I see French teachers in every basic school, no one can speak English to me and tell me that we are ready. You can't be ready if you are ready in the context of perpetuating the already existing divide, which is the rural-urban divide in professional quality basic education. Secondly, you go to the rural areas especially, and the circuit supervisor is responsible for monitoring up to 15 schools. And the circuit supervisor is largely not mobile. Even where they have motorbikes, fuel is an issue. We haven't resolved the issues of mobility of supervisors and the efficiency of supervision undertaken by the circuit supervisors. We would like to have an engagement with the GES on what has been done differently. As of now, what is on the ground assures no accountability. It assures no value for money. There is no effective monitoring.
You heard the Executive Chairman of the Ghana National Education Campaign Coalition, Kofi Asare, speaking on PM Express. Now, let's stay a while longer on education because former Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Professor Ivan Adai-Mensah, says an alumnus of the school and Chief Executive Officer of the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distribution Company, Senyo Hosi, demonstrated the worst form of thinking following his comments suggesting the university is churning out people with degrees and not education and skills on how to live. We'll hear from the former Vice Chancellor shortly, but first, listen to Senyo Hosi when he addressed a gathering as part of activities marking the university's 70th anniversary.
I wouldn't hire anybody. It's simple, and it's a matter of substance. What do you churn out? You are churning out people with degrees, not people with an education, not people with skills on how to live. That is the problem. And respectfully, the old men running this school, there are too many. Get them out. I beg you. You guys are not doing anything that is relevant for the future, and you won't get people wanting to employ the people out of this place. Your MBA students, plenty of them I won't hire. Your MBA, your classmates, I won't hire. I was also in that school. University of Ghana, 70th anniversary.
Look at the audience.
What kind of communication went on to promote this program?
Now, in a swift rebuttal, lecturer at the Political Science Department of the university, Professor Ransford Jampo, condemned the comments, saying it was wrong for him to raise the concerns in public.
I was quite disappointed in the way and manner he went about this, and I thought I had to say something to him, and so I told him my peace of mind. Even if he thinks that he has a case, the point is that the appropriate means is for you to call the university management behind the scenes and table your concerns. Where they have response, they will let you know. So, in my view, for not all facts must be put out in the public if we want societal cohesion.
Now, listen to a former Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Professor Ivan Adai-Mensah's reaction to Mr. Hosi's comments.
He had some points, but they were not well presented. They were distorted, and I don't think enough thought went into it. He was accusing people that they are not able to think, but I thought he advertised worse ways of thinking than one would have expected. You know, a university is not a glorified vocational institution where people come to be trained to fit into every type of job that is out there on the market. Your mind is trained to be able to adopt and adapt at a university. That is what a university means. So to come and stand there and say the universities are not training people to go and fit into the world of work, or they are not training innovators, they are not training thinkers, I think it's rather sad. We shouldn't run down our revered institutions that way. Institutions that have a high reputation all over the world, where students from this university, wherever they go, they are outstanding. They shine.
There are some who think that there is a general decline in the quality of human resource that the universities are churning out, and some people have linked that, as you already mentioned, to large class, sizes. Others also think that our level of technological advancement now can be blamed for causing some sort of distraction. They compare your generation to this current generation, and they think that this current generation, a lot of people coming out of universities are half-baked.
Yeah, I'll be the first person to say that indeed there has been degeneration. And the degeneration stems from the fault from the university.
Now, on calls by Mr. Jose that old men running the university should be shown the door because they are not teaching future generation the relevant issues, the 70-year-old former vice-chancellor said he continues to mentor current faculty members and contributes towards the success of the school.
Well, I've retired, but I still mentor people in all the faculties, not just my department of chemistry. I mentor people from lecturers to students in virtually every faculty in the university. If I were to be useless, do you think the university will make me an emeritus professor so that I can provide my expertise and my experience to the up-and-coming young men? Those who want people who are old to be thrown out, we've heard that before. Sometimes when the young people are speaking, they should be a little bit, introspective.
The words of a former Vice-Chancellor of the University of Ghana, Professor Ivan Adai-Mensah there. Well, this debate begs the question, must we begin to consider changing the way we teach? Founder of Ashesi University, Patrick Iwa, believes so. Listen to him when he spoke at a TEDx event last year.
We're still teaching students to learn by rote. This is a legacy of our colonial era, which focused on training people to follow directions. Students are not encouraged to explore, to question the status quo. They're not encouraged to think critically or creatively. The way we teach is wrong for today. It is even more wrong for tomorrow, given the challenges before us. And so we need to educate people differently, and we need to do it quickly. The question is, how? At Ashesi University in Ghana, we have pioneered one model that has inspired others and is achieving significant results. We have done this by implementing a multidisciplinary curriculum that emphasizes critical thinking and ethical values, that encourages broad perspectives.
You heard that the founder of Ashesi University, Patrick Iwa, there speaking last year about the way we teach in Ghana. Now let's head to the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, where police there is addressing the media on the status of investigations into the suspected murder of a sub-chief of the Asantehene Otumfuo Seiti II. The sub-chief Asampohene Nana Afodro was found dead in the backseat of his Toyota Land Cruiser vehicle at a boom on the Idra in Kranza Highway Sunday night with multiple stab wounds. Let's cross over to the phone lines now and speak to Ohiming Terrier, who has some more details of that police briefing. So Ohiming, what are the new details that the police has been offering?
Thank you, MFA. Police says they have arrested three persons who are currently assisting in their investigations. But the biggest news of the day is the fact that they have declared one Sadat Mohammed, also known as Alaji, age 38, who was seen on the same day with the late chief at his residence at Odinaho Kwadaso, and also traveled with him to an unknown destination. ACP David Ajiman Ajem has been addressing the media in Kumasi, and he says anybody who is found to have kept this Alaji man is culpable to the law.
So far, our investigation tells us that he was in the company of one Sadat Mohammed, who is 38 years old and popularly known as Alaji. So we are making all efforts to locate this person, but to no avail. So the command has secured an arrest warrant for this person, so we declare him a wanted person.
So you heard excerpts of that press briefing ongoing in Kumasi. My colleague Ohimen Teria will give us more in a subsequent bulletin. Let's take a quick break here on the Midday News. But when we return, founder of Global Access Savings and Loans questions central bank's decision to shut down company instead of bailing it out, as he warns of dire consequences for Ghana's economy.
When you sack one person, the multiplier effect of that person's salary is then wiped out, because he can no longer go and buy bread from the baker. He cannot go and buy meat from the butcher. All these things start downward spiral. That begins to bring your economy down.
We'll have the latest plus here from founder of GN Savings and Loans, Dr. Papa Kwesi Indom. We're right back after the break.
Let's go,
My name is Kwame Sefakai, and most of you know me as a media personality, but I am also a family man. The UMB mobile banking app, UMB Speed App, saves me so much time by letting me do almost all of my banking transactions on my phone. The cardless withdrawal feature allows me to withdraw cash from any UMB ATM without an ATM card. I can also pay bills, transfer money, request for a loan, invest money, and so much more. So now, I can spend less time at the bank and more time with the ones I love. Bank anywhere and anytime with a UMB mobile banking app, UMB Speed App, and get the time to do what you love most. Download the UMB Speed App from your Android, iOS, or Windows phone today. Call 0302-633-988 for more information. UMB Speed App, Digibank, let's go!
Kremasa, Ghana, so we pay correct medicine pa. And you make us super. Me a super medicine and kasa. Because our job no and better. They won't see how beautiful and high quality your work is. That be what them they use believe you. That be why me too. It be only super cement at the use. Cement mu cement. Cement papa. Intere me crimes in from because it's super. Because me the super cement and DVD ra.
Super Cement is designed to ensure that your buildings stand strong for generations. Build with Super Cement. Build your dream. Build.
Thanks for staying with the best. And it's time now for sports with Benedict Owusu.
Yes, sir. Now, Black Meteors assistant coach Michael says they are on course with preparations ahead of the Olympic Games qualifier against Algeria next month. Now, the Olympic team beat Accra to Folk 1-0 in a friendly play at the Accra Stadium this morning. According to Coach Osei, they are pushing hard to build a solid team for the must-win game against Algeria.
The complete department you have to improve on, because this is our third game we are playing, and then we are also waiting for the foreigners to come and then join the team who will be keep here, and then make sure that we get a formidable team and then get a good scoreline against the Algerians in the home game.
So that's Michael Osei, assistant coach of the Black Meteors team. Now, updates from the ongoing African Games, and Black Satellites will face Senegal in their second group game later today. A win will see the team book a place in the next stage of the competition after winning their opening group game against Burundi, which they won by 2-1. Here is coach of the team, Yapreko.
We're waiting for Wednesday, and then against Senegal, we'll see how it goes. We saw them played against Mali. We'll talk to the boys, and then we hopefully they will be able to execute it. If we don't score, they don't score. That's how the game is gonna be like. We'll see how it goes.
Black Satellites coach Apreko speaking there. The game is at 4 p.m. Table tennis men's team Group E qualification also on this afternoon with Ghana taking on Togo. That's a sport.
Thanks, Benedict. Now, founder of Global Access Savings and Loans, Dr. Kofi Amoah, has questioned the central bank's decision to shut down his company instead of bailing it out. Dr. Amoah says revoking licenses of struggling institutions is not the best approach, as it would take away the livelihood of many, negatively affecting the economy in the long run. His comments come in the wake of the Bank of Ghana's revocation of licenses of 23 financial institutions it says are insolvent. Dr. Amoah, however, says this could have been handled differently. He spoke on Metro TV's Good Evening Ghana.
So the point I'm making is this: yes, we came to a point where we see that, okay, in Ghana, our financial institutions are troubled. In some cases where it is pure malfeasance, there's nothing we can do. People are stealing. I'll never support that. But in cases where you see that, okay, they've made some mistakes, but here is an institution that have been in business for 10, 15 years. They have some managerial capacity in here, not that bad. They have thousands of customers. When you sack one person, the multiplier effect of that person's salary is then wiped out, because he can no longer go and buy bread from the baker. He cannot go and buy meat from the butcher. He cannot go and buy potatoes. He cannot go and buy this. So all these things start downward spiral. That begins to bring your economy down.
So he also explained why he rented out a property he owns to a bank at a rate the central bank describes as high. But meanwhile, President of Group Indum, Dr. Papakwesi Indum, has dismissed allegations by the central bank that $62 million of depositors' fund was transferred abroad to another company owned by the group without supporting documentation. Addressing staff today in a video, Dr. Indum described the allegation as untrue.
Where do those yellow ASCA generators come from? They were exported by IBS. They have to be paid for. We've paid for them by transferring money from Ghana to IBS to pay for all of these items. So where from? This matter of transferring customer funds. Which customers' funds? So don't let anybody fool you. Don't let anyone come and tell us untruths just so that they can throw dust in the eyes of the general public who don't know what is done. IBS is a procurement company.
You have the founder of Group Indum, Dr. Papakwesi Indum. It's time now to put a spotlight on the status of our borders, because Ghanaian traders at the Ivory Coast border near Sampa are praising military personnel mostly operating at unapproved routes for their vigilance, but they are furious with customs and immigration officials who they accuse of corrupt practices, including extortion. They want authorities to intervene in the matter. From the Bono region, correspondent Anas Sabit has the details in today's edition of our series on porous borders.
Bonduku, a city in northeastern Ivory Coast, is the capital of the Zanzan district of the Gontougou region. It is a 15-minute drive to the nearest border town of Sampa, which is the capital of the German North district of the Bono region. It is a commercial area which attracts not just Ivorians, but thousands of Ghanaians. They accuse security officers at the Sampa border of extortion. Kusi Apia is the leader of the Ghanaian traders at the Bontougou market. My biggest worry has to do with how immigration officials continuously extort monies from Ghanaians. Even when you show them your ID card, they will go ahead and demand for money. For the rest of those doing businesses here, they cannot come to terms with the idea of paying money in order to be admitted into their own country when, according to them, Ivorian border officials only check their documents. The customs do not regard the cards issued to us by the ambassador. The Ivorian officials won't allow us to go after showing them the card. The Ghanaian officials won't say no unless we pay. From Bondougou, here in the Zanzan district of La Côte d'Ivoire, I am Anas Sabit for Joy News.
Now, 2 weeks ago, Joy News aired the love story of two persons with disability. The story captures how the two got married and are living happily together with their children after many disappointments in past relationships. Now, with over 750,000 views on Joy News' Facebook page alone, the story captured the attention of many listeners and viewers. The couple has received wheelchairs and other items after the story aired. Joy News' Henry Kwesibedu went back there. Here's his report read to you.
Soon after Joy News aired the report, there were calls from listeners and viewers who pledged their support to help the couple. Deputy Managing Director of a state housing company, Ronnie Nicole, donated wheelchairs and other items to the couple.
Looking at the story, it was very touching in terms of I have never seen, two disabled couple married together with wonderful kids and in a very happy mood. And I felt compelled to assist in terms of what do I think they would need to, aid their work. So I decided to get in touch with yourselves to see if I can give them 2 wheelchairs to assist them.
The couple were more than excited after receiving the items. For a long time, Agnes Andrews has not seen town due to her inability to walk. With the help of her children, she went to town for the first time in a year.
I couldn't go to town and other places because I didn't have a wheelchair.
We are grateful for your support. We'll bring you more on that in our subsequent bulletins. But there's a lot of talk about Senor Jose and the University of Ghana on social media maps. What are they saying?
All right, let me go to Kwesiam, who says Senor Jose spoke reality, and it would surprise you. Most graduates can't perform basic Microsoft Excel actions. Most graduates don't put in their effort to develop themselves and their career. School cannot entirely make you ready for the job market. This one is from @Joyce_Akunu, who says, to be honest, Senor Jose says the truth regardless of the medium. It's just the hard truth. And @Aaron Coverdale says, Senor Jose is right. This issue cuts across our whole educational landscape. We don't encourage students to think for themselves. People in universities have first-class degrees with zero ability to meet modern world challenges.
So they say it's not what you say, but it's how and where you say it. And that's it for the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. I am MFA Pau. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I'm grateful for your company.